Hello, welcome to the final business presentation for Pure Pedal, your first place finisher in the business simulation. Karina, if you could hop to the next slide. Today, Kurt will take us through an executive summary along with our overall corporate strategy. He'll then kick it over to Karina to review our Q4 to Q6 marketing performance. Then I'll jump back in to review how we did in our sales and revenue numbers from Q4 to Q6. Kurt, at that point, will then cover some key things that worked in manufacturing across Q4 to Q6 and also some things that potentially didn't. Then we'll jump back to Robert to round us out on our overall financial performance and also our plans for the future. And we will finish today by doing a quick around the horn on our lessons learned. So that being said, I'll throw it over to Kurt to kick us off.
Thank you, Lars. So, one thing that I would like to point out first and foremost is that Pure Pedal was the top performing company for the simulation. Not only were the top performing, we were the top performing in 5 of the 6 quarters. And I feel like that our performance kind of can be separated into 3 areas where we had a lot of success. First one is the financial performance. We were able to generate lots of sales and have high levels of net income. And in Q6, we were able to have a final net income of $2.5 million. Another area where we were very successful was our effective marketing tactics. And we were number one in both Q4, Q5, and Q6. And we were actually able to achieve a brand judgment score of 100, which is a really big deal. So I just want to give a shout out to both Karina and Lars for that, because I don't think any other company in the simulation was able to achieve that. And then lastly, another area where we really stood apart from our competitors was our market performance. And we were located in all 4 stores of the global market. And by the end of Q6, we were able to capture over 32% of the global market share. If you would go to the next slide, Karina. One thing that I think really was helped guide us was early on in the start of the simulation, we kind of sat down and had a good strategy, and we would go back to that strategy through every quarter, and it kind of led us to the decisions that we made. And I think one thing that's super important is I feel like we had a very good mission statement. Our mission statement was Pure Pedal fuels your ride with rugged, sustainable bikes built to conquer trails and protect the planet. We were not only focused on good products, but also sustainable because we wanted to have a reliable product, but also a product that was not harmful to the earth or our customers. And another area that we really wanted to focus on was having our products have high profit margins. And that was kind of led us to the decision of choosing speed as our first priority target market, even though it kind of had less potential demand. It had the best margins in all 3 of the segments. And then we had a goal of not just earning the trust of our buyers, but also of our employees and just trust of overall our products. And we really wanted to have good products. And I think that is what helped us succeed. And then that I will pass it off to Karina to kind of go over some of our marketing over the last 3 quarters.
Thank you, Kurt. Yeah, so as we go into the things that aligned with our business plan in terms of marketing, what we did well was continue to use the tinkering approach for major media placements, which led Pure Pedal, our company, to score the highest in all 3 customer segments for our ad copy judgment scores by quarter 7, which was huge. So luckily we followed our business plan there. And then as well, we also aggressively and heavily invested into SEO investments. And this also led Pure Pedal to taking on the top 2 organic placements in all 3 segments by Q7. And when we look at that from quarter 4 to quarter 6, in terms of R&D and brand judgment scores, we followed the tactical plan by investing R&D into carbon fiber frames, racing tires, and 11-speed gears. And in Q4, we received good brand judgment scores over 70 in the speed and recreation categories. And if you look at Q5, we also followed the tactical plan for marketing by investing R&D into the carbon fiber aerodynamic handlebars, and that helped us receive scores over 70, but only in the recreation category there for the brand judgment scores. And in Q6, we eventually got improved brand judgment scores due to our marketing tactics and our business plan, with scores over 80 and 90 in all three categories, plus a score of 100, as Kurt previously mentioned, which was huge for our team and very exciting. So, as we also look at our marketing in terms of the business plan, but departing from that, I kind of want to pass this on to our Google representative who works with this kind of stuff. Lars, if you would just take it away.
Thank you, Karina. I take full responsibility for our search engine marketing being a complete and total failure from Q3 to Q6. However, at the end of the day, really was not that big of a problem because our company also faced extensive stockouts in Q5 and Q6. And if we think about it, the only thing worse than not being able to fulfill demand is paying for someone to click on an ad and then not being able to fulfill the order after you've already paid for their click. The one thing I want to add here is we did catch the low bid problem in Q6, and we were able to get this addressed and ultimately capture top SEM placements, clicks, highest click-through rates for all three customer segments in Q7. And with that, I'll throw it back to you, Karina, to go through the other departures that we did have from our tactical plan.
Thank you, Lars. So yeah, if we look at Q4, we actually followed our tactical plan for R&D. But when you look into Q5, we ended up investing into R&D that was originally supposed to be within Q7 according to the tactical plan. But we did make a decision to do so. So we invested in wet and dry carbon ceramic discs, high intensity LED light up kits, as well as sustainable packaging in Q5. And then in Q5, we also shifted pricing to above market averages for our air models. And if you look at Q6, we ended up investing in R&D items that were not on the tactical plan since we previously invested into those in Q5. And those items were hybrid comfort tires, as well as carbon fiber riser handlebars. And then we also shifted pricing to above market averages for our premium models in Q6. And I'm going to pass this on to Lars to talk about some of our sales.
Thank you, Karina. Just to close the loop on the pricing, I think that that was one of the moments of more discussion for our team during the simulation. I think we had Kurt and Robert who were very bullish on setting some pretty high pricing, where I was a little scared that we may tank the market. This ended up being one of the biggest risks that paid off in the simulation. Karina, if you could actually hop to the next slide.
Yeah.
One of the things that I'm really happy about that gamble, I would say, that we took was the revenue numbers that we ended up seeing in Q5 and in Q6 with, I guess, driving much more high profit margins per unit. In Q5, we generated $5.7 million of revenue and actually had a lot of stockouts. And that was followed by an actual huge jump of $3.3 million more, up to $9 million in revenue generated, with even larger stockouts in Q6. But hopping back to the last slide, I would say we actually pretty much stuck to our business plan during the simulation. We said that we were going to launch some new bike lines with our Air and our premium pure pedal lines. We did that. And we also decided as a team that we wanted to be a global company, and we successfully launched, staffed with salespeople, and operated in all four global markets throughout the simulation. So I won't go through this quarter by quarter, but you can see our tactical plan that we previously submitted to the board. We followed it almost to a T, with some deviations on the next slide. If you could please go to the next one. Uh, I'd say the big way that we did deviate was basically retiring models that we did not originally plan on retiring. I think as a team, we decided that we wanted to focus on our R&D driven most profitable lines. And, we've already gone through the revenue numbers and the large stockouts that we had that ultimately ended up being the right decision. And to talk about some of those, I guess, stockouts and challenges that we faced in manufacturing, I will pass it back to Kurt.
Thank you, Lars. So yes, so even though Pure Pedal saw some really great successes throughout the course of the simulation, we did have some downfalls and we did underperform when it comes to our manufacturing. So when it came to our tactical plan, we kind of had to throw it out the window and readjust every quarter based off the results that we saw. But there were some areas that we were able to kind of hold true to our tactical plan. One area in particular is that we set out to increase manufacturing productivity in every quarter. And although we did not increase it to the level that we had anticipated, we did see some great movement in that regard. So for Q4, we had a manufacturing productivity of about 67%. But when we were able to get to this Q6, we had a manufacturing productivity of about 80%. And that is with the utilization of 4 hours of overtime in each of the quarters. If I were to take that away and say we had accurately predicted demand and we did not have to use overtime, our manufacturing productivity in Q6 would be 88%, which I feel like is a really great increase from where we were in previous quarters. Another area is, although it was prompted because we had a lot of stockouts, we did not have any excess capacity or planned capacity that we did not use. So in every quarter, we had 100% utilization for the most part, and that was good for our company, but also it was spearheaded by not having enough capacity to begin with. Karina, if you would go to the next slide, this is kind of where we had some large deviations. So originally we anticipated to have 3 hours of overtime kind of as a safeguard, but due to our really well performing marketing strategies and cutting edge marketing tactics, we were able to generate high levels of demand in every quarter, and we way underestimated the total number of units we needed to produce. And so that led us to have 4 hours of overtime used in all three of the quarters. And also one area where we thought we had enough capacity. So in Q4, we did not add any printers, which in hindsight was a huge mistake. And we should have added a lot of printers in Q4. Q5, having realized that, we deviated from our plan. Instead of adding 1 to 2 printers, we actually added 3 printers. And then we added an additional printer in Q6. So I think that if we were able to have more quarters in the simulation, I do think that we would have been able to kind of correct the wrongs that we made earlier on. And I bet by Q8 or Q9, we would have enough printers to kind of meet the needs of our customers and fulfill that demand. And although this was an area where we underperformed, we did see some small successes, and that really goes back to our productivity. I'm really proud that we were able to increase that largely through our improvements in employee morale and overall HR, salary, and all that kind of stuff. But yes, I will pass it off to Robert next to kind of dig deep into our financials.
Thanks, Kurt. Forecasting for any company is very difficult, and so that was an obvious obstacle that we all faced. Um, in summary, if you look at all of our sales and marketing, manufacturing, everything together, that is all the accumulation. The result can be stated in the financial performance of a company. And Boy, for Pure Pedal, financially, this company takes the cake. And we perform better than expected in nearly every category. By taking the approach of providing a premium product catered to our customers' needs, the company was able to outperform its competitors by a fair margin. When organizing the projected revenues and financial aspects of the tactical plan, we did not expect for the company to perform as well as originally forecasted. Pure Pedal's Q4 performance followed very closely to the tactical plan laid out in the same time frame and therefore did not deviate much from the general plan. For Q5, however, prior R&D and system improvement investments paid dividends and demand grew beyond the company's fixed capacity and granted unexpectedly positive revenue. That allowed the firm to continue to grow in research and development, as well as marketing and advertising, while adding more fixed capacity to hopefully match future demand. In Q6, knowing we were chasing the demand growth, revenue again grew to unexpectedly high numbers while keeping costs to a reasonable level in order to maximize profit margins. With retained earnings being a primary focus, Pure Pedal was able to record a positive retained earnings number for the first time while retaining a significant amount of cash on hand for future investments. One of the company's primary initial goals from the beginning was to maintain our financial position dominance and ensure that the company would not have to use the emergency loan. While these points reflect what went well with our technical plan and projections, let's take a look at what did not follow the financial projections. For Q4, much of the tactical plan, again, was created with Q4 in mind. And so a lot of our technical plan was already made with the idea of what we were going to do for Q4. So there weren't a lot of deviations there. The only deviation was related to that manufacturing and the shortfall that we had in terms of the demand. In Q5, though, Pure Pedal performed significantly better than expected in demand, and therefore revenue that was driven by Q4 R&D expenses blew up to a huge number. After seeing a positive net income for the second time, for only the second time, the company was able to invest heavily with improved demand and revenue to support it. R&D, marketing, and system improvements all saw an increased spending budget compared to the tactical plan initiated in Q4. Q5 saw significant investments to these fields as productivity and sales demand were considered top priority. As demand was the top priority, Q6 saw an even greater increase in demand for the newest brand models provided and drove revenues to record highs with significant jumps in nearly every positive financial category. Deviations from the tactical plan here were compounded by the Q5 improvements that we saw, and price points were improved to reflect a premium product that was deserving of the market. Pure Pedal remains the top financial leader in the market, and future financial considerations going forward are intended to cement that position going forward. Speaking of the future, you can see here our notes for the future at Pure Pedal. The company is a product-led firm that strives to know and get ahead of what our customers want and need so that we can best provide them with their dream carbon fiber bicycle. While we develop newer and better products, Pure Pedal is committed to being a positive contribution to our environment and localities. The company is firmly positioned to provide not only a good product, but be a good partner with those that provide and use our products. In order to maximize the overall goodness that Pure Pedal can produce, the company is consistently looking for ways to expand and scale the business to provide our excellent products and services to all future consumers. Whether it be in the mountain, on the racetrack, or simply on a park trail, Pure Pedal intends to be the preferred provider of your next bicycle. With that, we have some lessons learned from our experience as the creative minds at Pure Pedal, beginning with Kurt.
Thank you, Robert. So yeah, over the course of the simulation, I think I just have one big takeaway, and that is stagnation is the kiss of death. For a company to be successful, you constantly have to be evolving, not just your products, but also your strategies, your team. You cannot stay still. And that was one area where I feel like Pure Pedal kind of fell back a little bit is in Q4. We did not expand our capacity, and that just did not affect us in the next quarter, but it also affected us in all future quarters. So I think that was one key takeaway that I had is that we constantly have to be moving and evolving and bettering our products and company. And I will pass it off to Robert.
Thanks, Kurt. Yeah, I agree with you. Some of those little decisions that we made as a team, some of that we didn't know necessarily would be a ripple effect repercussion later. But that was a huge lesson that I learned with us with this whole simulation was working as a team and all of the focus and demand that it takes um, between the leadership to make a company work well together. We learned a lot of lessons, specifically just how to work with each other and then how to, keep things moving and be successful. So next, I'll pass it to Karina.
Thanks, Robert. Yeah, going off of what both of you just said, one of my big takeaways was just witnessing and experiencing firsthand that each department in a business plays such a vital role that they affect each other so quickly, and there's such a sense of urgency to a business or any type of company. And just experiencing that firsthand in the simulation was something I haven't had before, so I just learned so much throughout the entire process and how important it is for each department to know what's going on and how it affects one another. So, with that, I'm going to pass it on to Lars.
Cool. Thank you, Karina. I'll round us out. Uh, for me, I think the big takeaway for me is that there's always some sort of limiting factor for businesses of any of any type. I mean, for us, it was our printers, but I think in my role at Google, we're always trying to help customers 10x their business, and a lot of the time that means 10xing your investment with Google. But a lot of the time, what we may see as an in-platform opportunity, whether that's things that are limited by budget, limited by target, limited by the coverage of keywords that you're selecting, um, may not be an opportunity for the clients that we do work with. And I think that this presentation will help me just think about my customer, or not this presentation, the simulation will help me think about my clients' businesses more holistically. And I really appreciate that it kind of opened my perspective a little bit. So, with that, we just want to also say thank you for the great class. And I guess this is Pure Pedal signing off for the last time. And appreciate it. Have a good night.